evening, everybody, and welcome to Transparent Tuesday. I am your host, Frances Dupree. I hope that you guys have all had an awesome, wonderful, and blessed week. Announcements. Don't forget, I'm doing God's Will Ministry is doing the Thanksgiving drive. If you would like to be a blessing or you need a blessing, make sure you go check out the website. It's on the bottom of the screen, and also a Christmas drive. Sign up if you need the help or if you just want to bless someone else or anything, someone that needs a blessing, then go to the website, sign them up, or have them reach out to me on any of my social media platforms. So tonight I titled this message, Ladies Eve. What does God say that your position is? I don't know if you guys remember, but a few years back, there was this whole independent woman movement. And I have to be honest, I was one of those women that was like, I don't need a man. I can do everything by myself. I can, raise the kids, take care of the house and bills and rent and so forth and so forth. All of these things that I can do by myself, and I don't need a man. That was the world's view. That's not the view that God has for us. And that's not how it's supposed to be. The way it's supposed to be, there's an order. It's supposed to be God and then the husband, the wife, and then the kids. That's the order of the household. So that's what we're supposed to go by. And so that's the order of the house. That's the way that it's supposed to be. And when you think about it, a lot of women have high blood pressure, they're stressed out, gray hairs, getting sick. All of these things are going on, health issues that women are having because they're trying to be in a position or play a role that they're not meant to. And because we were not made for that role, we have to deal with the consequences of being out of order. I do know in some households, it's only the mom, or in some households, it's only the dad. So that makes sense. But if you're preparing for your husband, or you have a husband, or you're engaged, maybe some of the things that I'm going to talk about tonight, you can be mindful of, or you can prepare yourself. That way, when you're in the position that God has made us to be in, you'll be prepared. So as most of you know, I remarried. It's been a year now. Thank you, Jesus. But I'm in a different marriage than what I previously was in before. The marriage that I was in before, I held everything on my shoulders. I was in that. The house was out of order, basically. So I was in that role and carrying so much weight and all of the responsibilities and trying to be the overseer, still trying to be my position as the wife and as the mom. And it was too much. It was a lot. It was very stressful. It was nerve-wracking. It was stressful on me, on my ex-husband, on my kids. When your household is out of order, it takes a toll on everyone in the house and it trickles down. So, God gives us instructions on the way that He wants things to go for a reason. The husband, the man, is supposed to be the overseer. And, I'm not going to get on here without doing my homework or something that I've gone through myself. I'm not going to tell you guys. So in 1 Timothy 3, it goes down. There's a list of the way an overseer is supposed to be the husband in the household. And I just jotted down a few notes. Some of the things that I'm going to say, I'm going to reference a few scriptures. Please go and read them for yourself because we're supposed to study ourselves to show approved. I'm not going to read the whole scripture, but I'm just going to give you guys a few footnotes, I guess you should say. So some of the things that stood out to me about a husband is that, he's faithful to one wife. He's not given to drunkenness. He's not violent, but gentle. He manages his household well. He makes sure that his children obey him. Also, in regards to, okay, let me take it back. In Genesis chapter 2, God says that a man is not supposed to be alone. It's not good for him to be alone. So he put him to sleep and he took his rib out and he made Eve. And she was supposed to be the helpmate. Me, myself personally, I'm not going to speak about anybody else. I am adjusting in the role of being a helpmate. I previously did not know that's what my position and my role was supposed to be. So I struggled in it. And I'm still learning. I still have not perfected it, but I'm learning each and every day. The woman is supposed to help her husband, bring good to him, not be a headache. Everyone always talks about the Proverbs 31 woman. So I read it, which I've read it a bunch of times, but I read it this time in a different aspect, looking at it as in not only as a wife, but also as a mother. And the things that stuck out to me about that was when they talked about the wife bringing good to the husband and not bad, how she's up at night and they say working in her hands. So to me, I'm going to take that as in her household, getting her house together, cleaning it, maybe ironing the clothes for kids or husband for the next day, preparing meals. You guys know about my Bible thumper. I always talk about her, but I had told her that I felt like I wasn't where I was supposed to be in life because what I'm doing now, I should have done years ago. I graduated high school when I was 16. Yesterday, I made 33, and I'm just now about to finish my bachelor's degree and then go to law school. And then God had to show me my life at the time, from the time I graduated high school to where I'm at now. The life that I was living, battling depression and suicide and poverty and homelessness, sleeping in cars, fighting and domestic violence, going to jail, all of these things that I've been through from high school until now, there's no way that I would have been able to be a successful attorney. There's no way I would have been able to be that voice that God has intended me to be for those that are not able to speak for themselves. At that time, this is Transparent Tuesday, so I'm going to be transparent with you guys. I wasn't even being the mom that I was supposed to be. I did everything. I took care of the responsibilities of taking care of my children. But one of the things that God says is we're supposed to raise our children in the way they should go. And then when they get old, they won't depart from their ways. I wasn't raising them the right way. I wasn't spending the time with them that I should have been spending with them. I wasn't nurturing them the way that I should have been. But now that I'm out of what I was in before, not living the right way, chasing money, chasing jobs, anyone that knows Francis knows I always had a job, whether I was working in a warehouse, working in an office before I became a paralegal, as a administrative assistant, as a office manager. I always had a job, always had something to do. I was always going, busy. And then, my previous relationship, there was a lot of drama in that relationship, and I focused more on him prior to marriage than on my children than I should have. That's not his fault. That's me. Those were the decisions that I made. But once we got married and I started to learn a little bit about my position as a wife, things started to shift. Like the household started to shift, and I started to walk in being a wife and trying to balance out the wife role and the mother role, but I was still working. Two of my sons, my last two sons to be exact, I had them on Friday, and on Monday I was back at work, and my children were at home with their dad and with their uncle. So I did not have that bonding time and spending that time with them. I was gone from work. Before I had my daughter, when I separated from my ex-husband and I lived in Apple Valley, I was working. I had started my own business, Francis Contracting Services, and I would contract myself out as a paralegal or as a office manager. One job I took was down the hill, and I would leave before my kids would go to school. And by the time I came home, because I didn't have a car and I was catching rides with people, I wouldn't get home until either they were asleep or they were about to go to sleep. So that whole time period, they didn't have their mom, but on the weekends when I did not work, and that's only 2 days out of 7 days, I did not. I felt them in that aspect. I felt them. And this is Transparent Tuesday, so I'm going to be transparent with you guys. I felt them. When we moved to Victorville in our house, I was working down the hill, and I'd say maybe a month or two before I had my daughter, I stopped working. I have not worked since. I wrote a book, I run my business, I have my ministry, but as far as leaving the household and going to a 9 to 5, I have not done that since I've had Genesis. And, I'm so grateful and thankful for my husband because for the first 3 weeks, almost a full month, I didn't even leave my room. He gave me that time to heal and to rest and to bond with my daughter. I'm so thankful for that because I didn't have that opportunity with my other children. But my point is that as moms, we have a great responsibility. As a wife, we have a great responsibility. We're a man's piece. I know a lot of people have heard the saying, behind a great man is a great wife. The woman encourages her man, or her husband. She does not tear him down. She speaks life into him. She goes into warfare for him, spiritual warfare. She's in that closet on her face, crying out to God for her husband, for her children, covering them. That's a helpmate. Helping your husband along, making sure, the stresses and the worries in the house and different things are taken care of, speaking life into him. Sometimes men feel defeated, especially right now, Black men, young Black men in this world that we're living in. They go outside of the house and they get torn down. And then they come home and some women are quarrelsome and they tear them down even more. That's not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to help them, speak life into them, build them up. You know how, I always say, when you go to the gas station and you get filled up, it's like the husband comes home and, the wife tops him off and he's ready to go. His engine is revving. But not just that, our children. I have seen a difference in my children's behavior, in their grades, in their attitudes since I've been at home with them full time. It's an adjustment to me because this is not a role that I'm used to being in, but it is the role that God created for me. It is not meant necessarily for me to be gone and not be home with my kids. As I said earlier, there are some moms and there are single moms that don't have a choice. They have to do what they have to do. There are some dads that are single dads and they have to do what they have to do. But for the ones that don't have to, I'm blessed to be one of the ones that don't have to. Take advantage of that. Walk in your role, walk in the position that God has given you. Let me give it to you like this. I have 8 sons, right? So before I had my daughter, I used to cry and pray, and God, why can't I have a daughter? I want a daughter. I want a daughter. I want a daughter. But I didn't think and sit of how he trusted me. When boys grow up to be young men and then they grow up to be men, they're a father, they're a husband, uncle, coach, they're kings. So God has entrusted me with the responsibility to raise the overseer of someone else's house. Now, mind you, and I make this very clear, I'm a woman and I cannot teach a man how to be a man. I can teach him how to respect women. I can teach him morals and values. I'm grateful to my husband because he's teaching them about being a man and being a Black man in this society because I do not have experience in that. But the fact that God trusted me, because, there are some women that are not able to have children. And there are some women that do have their children, but they're not able to raise them for whatever reason, no disrespect intended. But if you're one of those moms and you're blessed and you're fortunate to be at home with your children and you have a husband, walk in that role. Stay in that position. I'm learning. My husband is my overseer for a reason. I was used to spending money the way that I wanted to, going here and there and doing everything that I wanted to do. And now it's like, dang, I need to talk to my husband. And some people that I used to be associated with, they don't understand why I have to talk to my husband or why my husband's telling me about my money or why my husband is like, no, that's not a good idea. He's wise and he's experienced things that I haven't. He's lived a life that I haven't. He sees things. I'm noticing that everything that he has told me about people or about decisions that I've made and the way he said that it's going to turn out, it has turned out. So I'm his wife, made from his rib for a reason. He's my overseer for a reason. My children and I were assigned to my husband for a reason, just like he was assigned to me for a reason. And I'm learning that sometimes I have to be quiet and allow my husband to say what he's going to say and put the household in order the way that he is, because there's a reason behind it. I'm learning that to me, it may be a good idea, or spending this money might be a great idea. But like he always tells me, what about a rainy day? What if the refrigerator breaks? What if one of the cars breaks and we need to put it in the shop and you've spent up all the money? I thank God for my overseer. As I said, I'm learning to walk in my position, to play my position, to be that role and to stand my part. And now that I don't have all those stresses that I had before on my shoulder, I'm able to do the things that God wants me to do with my ministry, with motivating people, being able to come on here with you guys on Transparent Tuesday. If I had all those other stresses that I had to worry about previously and I had the weight of the world on my shoulders, I wouldn't be able to do this. I wouldn't be able to concentrate. I wouldn't have the time. But the fact that there's less things that I have to worry about, and there are things that my husband picks up and takes as responsibility, that frees up time for me with God, with the kids, to, keep the household for him. A lot of us want to purchase homes, purchase property. We want to expand our territory. The only way we can do that is to be a good steward over what we have. Anything that God has given to us, before he can bless us and give us more, we have to be good stewards. None of us were made to be alone. If you haven't found your soulmate, you never know when or where you're going to meet them, run into them. But at the same time, make sure you're in order and you're in check and you have your foundation straight. So when God connects you guys, it's a divine connection, a divine appointment, and everything just falls into place. Don't be how I was. Keyword was, not anymore. Trying to boss my husband around, trying to tell him this is how it's going to be. I'm going to do this with my money. I'm going to do that. But then I had to, my Bible thumper had to remind me, you were in a marriage where you were running the show, doing all of these things, spending money how you want it. Lights was getting cut off. Gas was getting cut off. Rent wasn't being paid. And now you have a husband that's like, no, we're going to save and take care of our responsibilities, and you're upset. I had to check myself. Sometimes we have to do a self-examination and think about the things that we've prayed for, or the desires in our heart that we didn't even pray for and God already knew and he's blessed us with. I don't always agree with the things that my husband says are the decisions, but I'm his wife. So I'm learning to be submissive. Let me make this clear so no one takes my words in the wrong way. A wife is supposed to be submissive to her husband as her husband is submissive unto the Lord. That's how it's supposed to go. Women, our roles are very important for our children, for our husbands, and for this world. God is using everybody in different ways, but it starts at home. We are no good to the world, the ministry, the kingdom assignments if we don't have our household in order, if we're not even walking in the right direction in the right path in our house. If we can't raise our children the way that we're supposed to be, how can we expect God to trust us with anything else, any other assignments? Our children, our husbands, our household is our first assignment. That's the first thing that has to be in order. That's the first thing that you have to run right in order for God to bless you with more. I've been single. I've been independent. I've been lonely. I've been by myself. This is my second and final marriage. I've dealt with two different type of men. And I'm thankful for the man that I'm married to now. I'm thankful that I don't have to worry about certain things. I'm thankful that there is a man here to teach my sons about being men in this society, something that I'm not able to teach them. Moms, aunties, grandmas, we're amazing. We're queens, but we don't know everything. We cannot teach boys how to be men because we are women. Some situations, getting along with our kid's father is not easy, but they're their dad at the end of the day. And if they're a positive influence and they're pouring the right and positive message into these boys that are growing up to be men, don't get in the way of that. The last thing any of us wants is for our children to join gangs or make any type of bad decision because they did not have that male or they weren't getting the proper love that they needed from their mom. It's really, really important. We're living in the last days. We have no idea what day, what hour, when God is coming. Our children are our responsibility and they're assigned to us. The last thing I would want is to look at God and say, you know what? I failed my kids. I didn't teach them right. I didn't take the time. I didn't spend the time with them. It's important. It's very important for us to pour into them. It's not only about our salvation, it's about theirs too. And if you're married to an unsaved, they're saved because of you. Worry about their soul too. War in the spirit for them. Thank you, Bible Thumper, for all of the things that you're teaching me. I truly appreciate you. I appreciate my village. I have a village. I keep telling you guys, I haven't arrived yet. I'm learning and I'm getting there, but I'm still learning every day. Everybody's soul is important. Pour into your children. Tomorrow is not promised to anybody. Pour into your husband. Husbands, pour into your wife and into your children. You know, the Bible says that kids are supposed to honor their father and their mother. And then it says fathers are not supposed to provoke their children to wrath. Men, be mindful of the way that you talk to your children. Do not tear them down. Don't provoke them to wrath. Yes, you have to teach them. You got to make them strong. You got to make them men. But at the same time, you don't want to destroy their pride and you don't want to destroy their heart. Just pour love into them. That's what counts, is the love. You guys have a blessed evening. I look forward to seeing you next week.